Greetings, I'm Janie Chandler and I'm coming to you from Ashland, Oregon. And I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my very favorite subjects. I get really passionate about this subject, and that is the Celtic seasonal calendar, or the Celtic seasonal year. And how it ties in with the Chinese 5 elements is such a beautiful melding that for me, it really speaks to myself as an energy medicine practitioner, but also appeals to me as a nature-based spiritualist, if you will. So let's look at right now why the end of October, beginning of November is the time that gets me so excited about this. In just a few days, it's going to be Samhain, Halloween, and then the Day of the Dead after that. These holidays mark the recognition of the end of the seasonal year and the beginning of the next year. So let's look at this as an overview first, just to see how each one of the seasons connects with the 5 elements. So we have the season of winter, according to the Celtic calendar. November, December, January. That would be the element of water, or the season of water. Then we have the season of spring, February, March, April, or the season of wood in the 5 elements. Then we have the summer, May, June, July, and that would be the summer of, or the season of fire element. And then we come back to fall, which is the season of metal element, August, September, October. So there's the overview of how the whole calendar runs, and earth element is the one that is in the in-between times. So let's look specifically at earth element, which is in the center of all of those different elements. In the center season, sometimes it's called Indian summer, or between seasons. And what I like to look at is how earth element shows up at the equinoxes and at the solstices. So right now, in the end of October, 2020 by the way, good old 2020, end of October 2020, we are just about to come into one of what's called the cross quarter days. So the 1st of November, that Day of the Dead, marks one of the cross quarter days. This is when the earth element steps in and helps to navigate the shift, the transition between fall, which has been August, September, October, into winter, November, December, January. So earth element steps in to navigate that change at that cross quarter day. Earth also shows up on the winter solstice. So the winter solstice, in the midst of that 3-month period of winter, marks the depth, the deepest, darkest, most yin time of the year. So that's the watery time, the time that we are gestating our new ideas. So at the depth of winter also rises earth element to help hold the balance, to help hold the dynamic tension as we navigate that shift from the lowest ebb, and the energy starts to rise up, moving then toward spring. The next cross quarter day comes at the end of January and the beginning of February. You might notice that there's Groundhog's Day, or Imbolg, which is the feast of Saint Bridget. So that is another time, that cross quarter day, moving between the winter and the spring, and earth element rises up at that point to help to navigate that transition out of winter into spring. So in the midst of spring, in the middle of March, March 21st-ish, and these are all relative, around March 21st, that's when the spring equinox happens. So that's when the energies are balanced, the length of day is balanced, and really the essence of that time is equilibrium, or at least we hope that we can find equilibrium, and earth is showing up there absolutely to help hold the balance as that season moves from rising energy to stabilizing energy. So now we are moving into summer, May, June, July. Beginning of May is the holiday of Beltane, and those are the summer months of fruition, of the fire element. This is when everything is in bloom and in blossom, when fruits are coming up to bear, and we get to eat all the strawberries, and we get to eat the raspberries, and we can see that the tomatoes on the vine are growing. And this is the time in a human life where we are at our peak, where we are the most productive, and where we are real strong contributing factors to our environment. So Beltane, this is when the earth energy rises again to usher us from spring into summer. And then in the midst of summer, in the middle of June, that's when the energy is peaked to the highest extent of the year. That is the peak of the fire element, the peak of the season of summer. And so then the energy from that point starts to wane a little bit more, and it comes to the next cross quarter day, which is the beginning of August, Lunasad, and that is, or Lammas, and that August, September, October are our months of fall, the month of metal element. This is when all of that fruition comes to bear, when the tomatoes start to be so ripe they're falling off the vine, when the pumpkins and the squash are ready to be picked, when we're needing to can and store foods away. This is the time of decline. It's the time where the energy is starting to move down back towards the earth, towards compost. So we have August, September, October, and in the middle of September is the equinox. That's where the earth energy rises up again to help keep the balance of the night and the day, keeping equilibrium, if you will. And then we continue to decline into the end of October, which I don't know how much you can see in my garden, but probably not a lot. My tomatoes are definitely on the wane. They need to get pulled here pretty quick. We have a lot of the beds, everything is taken up. We've been starting to store things. So this is that time of decline, of the energy is contracting and coming down into completion, and toward that winter energy of gestation, of dreaming, of becoming whatever comes next. So this is an overview of the whole seasonal cycle of the year, looking at it both from a Celtic calendar point of view, but also bringing in how the 5 elements show up in that. And what I'm particularly interested in are those times of transition, and especially the time that we're in right now. And I think that of course is really enhanced by the fact that we're in 2020. But right now, when it's time to complete and let go of the cycle that has just passed, when it's time to let go of what is over, and then have faith, and this is the part I think is the reason that I love this season so much, is that it really calls on our faith to let go of the known, even though it's done, and to have faith that the unknown is going to be in our favor, and to get to that still point and that quietness and allow our dreams to gestate, our ideas and our plans, and then have that faith that we will be carried on into a whole new birth and a whole new cycle. So if you want to join me, I'm really looking forward. On Friday the 30th, I'll be doing a self-healing session, particularly to balance, bring all of those 5 elements into balance, and to do what we can to help to facilitate that transition between the end of the season and the beginning of the next one with as much grace and ease in our transition as we can facilitate. So that's my favorite subject, one of my favorite subjects. I'm always happy to talk about it more. If you have any questions, leave a comment. And if you'd like to join me, you can go to my website, janiechandler.com. Thanks. Hope this has been helpful. Bye-bye.